Shedeur Sanders' preseason debut. And listen, I'm going to give you your flowers, Emery. This does not happen often, but you have been on the Shedeur hype train, or at least you've been shutting down the Shedeur Sanders disrespect. But now you got to see firsthand his performance in the Browns preseason opener. He humbly said on the sidelines that he didn't think he was sharp at all. But now I want to get Emery's thoughts.
What you expect shouldn't surprise you. So I'm not surprised by this, Kiana, and I appreciate you giving me my flowers, because at the end of the day, we saw this before against Florida A&M when he first debuted at Jackson State. Florida A&M was ranked in the top 15. It was a torrential downpour down at the Orange Blossom Classic in Miami. Shedeur Sanders, first time we ever saw him play college football, went out there, balled, led an upset victory against FAMU. First time he debuted as an FBS quarterback against a highly ranked TCU squad. He went out there, put up 500 yards and 4 touchdowns in an upset victory over TCU in Fort Worth, Texas. So why wouldn't I expect him to come out here in his debut, show up and show out? Because what we saw from him in this ball game was all the things we saw from him throughout his career: touch, timing, anticipation, elite level accuracy, toughness within the pocket, willing to stare down a gun barrel and fire a shot downfield, showing that he can escape outside the pocket, better athlete than given credit for, and showing that he can make plays when he threw the nice little floater down to Luke Flourier down the sideline for a chunk play, and also maximizing opportunities in the red zone. 3 trips, 3 touchdowns. He played well tonight.
Most certainly, but a lot of people don't always make that same transition from what they're doing in college and get to do that in the pros. And while this might be a very small sample size, I think nonetheless, agreeing with what you're saying, very encouraging from what we saw from him. But we did get to see a bit of everything from Shedeur. His decision making when scrambling, big 3rd down conversion, we were talking about that, those touchdowns, but also we saw that he is still a rookie, okay? But how do you think maybe this performance on Friday night could alter his reps and ultimately maybe affect this quarterback competition? That's the real question at hand.
Well, it probably doesn't affect it much in terms of where he's going to move up, although it should. But at the end of the day, it's just one game, one viewing of him in a live game setting. But they should have confidence that, hey, we could throw him into any situation and he's going to succeed. What I like to see him do more of is get more of those receivers to lock in when you have those scramble drills. We saw him get outside the pocket, and we saw him do the whirly bird, serpentine back there in the pocket and almost took a sack. Why weren't receivers working back to him? That's something that he and those receivers on the 3rd or 4th team got to lock in on and make sure next time they get a chance that doesn't be the case. And again, we saw him do a lot of good things. The ball came out of his hands quickly. I guess everybody said that in order to be a top quarterback, you got to break the huddle. It was break the huddle week all week. Can you get out the huddle? As if that's the first thing you need to be a quarterback. Well, we didn't see any delay of game penalties coming out of the huddle and all those things that they talked about. So I thought he did some things really well. Now, what I would say to your question, to your point you made about him looking like a rookie, why don't some rookies take that early step forward like we tend to see them do in college? Well, for him, he was getting beat up all throughout college. So those sacks kind of made him, immune to the pressure. So he's not afraid of the pressure of the moment and also the pressure coming from the defense. So he's more equipped to step in right away and play like a vet.
Most certainly, he's already equipped considering what he went through and now doing so in the pros. But Emery, we got to talk about the other side of this matchup, because we did get to see a brief look at Bryce Young, who completed 4 of 6 of his passes for 58 yards and a handful of series. But I feel like what he did on the field might have been a bit overshadowed just by Shedeur's night and how he performed. But as far as Young, he did show a little bit of how he left off at the end of last season. We saw that spark. We saw some encouraging plays. But what did you like from Bryce and this Panthers offense?
I'm glad you referenced that or prefaced that way and framed it this way, Kiana, because people want quarterbacks to play the game the same way, and not every quarterback has to play it the same way. What I like about Bryce Young's game and his style, it's almost like a point guard leading the fast break. He's in transition. He's kind of weaving through the defense, and somebody's going to break free. He's going to dish him the football. We saw that on the touchdown pass to Jalen Coker. And everyone wants you to drop back 1, 2, 3, scan left, scan right, and then dump the ball off to the running back in the flat. Like, no, sometimes you got to make things happen. And I like how he was able to do that. Some people may feel as though that's a little bit frenetic for them. They don't want the pace to be like that. But for Bryce Young, that's when he excels. That's what we saw him excel at Alabama. That that's what we saw him tap into the back end of last season when he went on that run and played really well since coming off the bench when he wasn't playing well earlier in the season. So I like that he looked like Bryce Young. And as they continue to get the run game going, and as they continue to get more chemistry with him and Tedero McMillan, then that we're going to see more of the Bryce Young that won the Heisman and more of the Bryce Young that we saw late last season.
I think that's what everybody is rooting for and what we want to see. I know a lot of people talk about Cam Ward and how he might be an underrated, I guess, first-round pick, but I think the same can be said for Bryce Young. A lot of people still waiting to see that, and hey, we might get to see that this year. As always, Emory Hunt, appreciate you. Thank you. Well, coming up for Young and the Panthers, they're going to head to the H to take on the Texans before wrapping up preseason action, hosting the Steelers on August 21st. As for Shedeur, he'll have more opportunities to plead his case on August 16th, visiting the defending champs before the Browns' preseason finale against the Rams.
It wasn't very accurate. He could have run away with this competition. He did not. So I'm not sure who's going to win it at this point. It feels like the Colts would prefer Anthony Richardson, but Daniel Jones is playing slightly better. It's anyone's guess. If I'm Shane Steichen, I just flip a coin the day before the opener, televise it, let Colts fans have some fun and go that route.
It sounds like it's Anthony Richardson's job to lose, but I mean, you said it perfectly, Tyler. You know, availability. He has to be able to be on that field, and right now, kind of handing that over to Daniel Jones. So, Colts got some questions that they need to answer, and they need to start answering them soon. But guys, we do have a full slate of preseason action on Saturday. 16 teams in action. No shortage of storylines in Breach. You got a few players you're interested in. Tell us who to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, let's start with J.J. McCarthy. We haven't seen him in a game since last year when he played in the first preseason game for the Vikings, injured his knee, and then we didn't see him again. I think that it's really... J.J. McCarthy has a ton of pressure on him. That's what this comes down to. The Vikings made a huge risk by saying, all right, we know we went 14-3 with Sam Darnold, but we're done with you, Sam. We are going to go to J.J. McCarthy, and now we're going to see if this gamble pays off. It's been a pretty quiet training camp from J.J. McCarthy. If you go around social media, you'll see highlights from training camps all over. You're not seeing a lot of them from Minnesota. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays in his first preseason game as the replacement for Sam Darnold and potentially the franchise quarterback for a long time to come for the Minnesota Vikings. The second guy on my list is someone I think everyone is excited to watch, and that is Travis Hunter. I can't remember the last time that people were talking about watching a Jacksonville Jaguars preseason game. Well, that's all I've heard about this week is everyone is pumped to see Travis Hunter. He's going to play offense. He's going to play defense. Jags coach Liam Cohen has not been trying to hide the fact that he plans on playing Hunter on both sides of the ball in this preseason game. This isn't some secret weapon that the Jags are going to wait to release in week 1. It is going to happen on Saturday. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays. Is he going to be a better receiver, a better corner? Is he going to be a shutdown corner? Is he going to make crazy catches? So I'm very excited to see Travis Hunter. And then finally, let's stay in the AFC South with the #1 overall pick, Cam Ward. This week, he said his offense was looking mid. For you younger guys, you know what that means. Tyler, you might not. That's not a compliment. That means the offense is struggling right now. And that makes sense because he's a rookie quarterback. He's trying to learn a new offense. He's got new receivers.